Aloha, everyone, in another level living land. Welcome to another episode of Freedom Fridays. So happy that you're here because we're in store for an amazing treat. We have an awesome special guest. I cannot wait for us to hear her wisdom today. We're going to be talking about confident negotiations. Confident negotiations and the artful and assertive ways to ask and win. And so I just want to first tell you, what is the purpose of this show? The purpose of the Freedom Friday show is to support you as an entrepreneur in achieving your success in business and life harmony, because it really is two sides of the same coin. We never want to get so busy making a living that we forget to make a life. And it is 100% possible to work smarter, stress less, strengthen our relationships, and lead with much more energy, ease, and momentum so that we can easily and happily increase our confidence, our calm, and our cash flow. So stay tuned because I want y'all to give a warm welcome to our special guest, Yvonne Silver. Oh my goodness, Yvonne, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Heather, for the invitation. I love your show. I love what you're up to in the world. Such important
Oh,
work.
thank you so much. And we love you too. And this is just going to be so good because I know that you have this heart for women entrepreneurs, and I can't wait to share with them who you are. So let me go ahead and let them know that now. So Yvonne E.L. Silver is a confident catalyst and CEO of Women and Wisdom Media, passionately serving leaders and entrepreneurs seeking to flourish. She's a sought after speaker, best-selling author, radio show host, and mentor and coach. And she's also an expert in confident conversations for women, customer engagement, and increasing sales velocity using personality science, as well as EQ, as well as the power of language. And she draws upon 30 years of business success with 8 startups and working in 4 countries, that's been blended with Royal Roads executive coaching certification as a chartered professional in human resources and an emotional intelligence consultant. This is so good. She leveraged VP level global talent management experiences in her professional coaching and mentorship programs to help her clients gain tangible and measurable advancements and business success. Oh my goodness, Iman, this is so good. Thank you for being with us today and blessing us with your presence. Oh my
Well,
goodness.
we each have our gifts, and thank you for the kind intro.
Absolutely, my honor and pleasure. So, my first question for you, I'm really so looking forward to hearing your answer to this. Why is this topic of confident negotiation something that's so important, especially for those of us who are entrepreneurs?
Mm. Well, my passion is women, as you mentioned, women entrepreneurs in particular who are seeking to flourish. Even my clients who get referred to me who might be in the corporate arena, professionals, everybody needs to know how to negotiate. I mean, we're women, we're great multitaskers, and yet because of that, we very often get all kinds of requests coming at us. So, first off, we need to know if we're going to do something or not, if we want to do it, if it aligns for us, and if not, how to deflect it. We also need to know how to ask because when women do not ask, there's data that was quoted in oh, several books, but Babcock and Lavisher, I quoted it in my book, in their study that shows that when women don't ask, they don't actually negotiate, even with a first, like a salary, never mind being an entrepreneur, they can lose up to $500,000 by the time they retire just simply by not asking. Because then it compounds. If you get stuck in this salary, then you get maybe a 2.2% increase or a 5% increase. Unless you get a bigger job or make a jump to another company, you won't be able to accelerate and advance. So it's the starting factor. It's like compound interest. Right.
Oh my goodness, that is such a big number and a big loss. Yeah, like one of the things that was coming to mind is if you don't ask, the answer is no. But what's the worst thing that they can ask if you do ask? Well, yeah, they can say no, but that negotiation will automatically start you off at a better better
Right,
foundation, better
right. If
footing.
you don't ask, you're in exactly the same place as if if they say no, you're in exactly the same place as if you hadn't asked, right? But if they do say yes, you have a 50% chance that it is going to be a yes, but just because you asked. I learned that very early on with my dad, where he would say no, and I would say, well, we could do this or we could do this. Which one sounds better? Because I knew I was raising the odds of having a 50% chance he'd say yes to something, versus if I just pitched one idea to him, it would be a yes or a no. And I wanted an either or option.
Oh, I love that. I think about my kids and it's like, do you want an apple or an orange? Either way, they're going to eat a fruit, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Well,
I'm so glad that you mentioned that. Well, tell us, like, what are some tips and strategies? How can we be able to, first of all, I guess, get ourselves ready to have these conversations or these confident negotiations, and then also, like, what are some ways that we could be able to do that? Because, I feel like for some women, especially, it might be something that's like a little bit fearful of even asking and stuff like that. So, what
mm,
tips and strategies do you have that you can share with us on how we can implement this?
right. So I use something that I call my ask method, right? So it's a very simple method for winning in conversations. So ask is about appreciative sales kinetics. Okay. So appreciative is borrowing a couple of steps from David Cooper Ryder's work with appreciative inquiry. Instead of, especially if you're in business for yourself, a lot of your audience I know are entrepreneurs. So instead of going in with the classic, we're trained by antiquated sales techniques that men use that don't work for women. Tell me about your biggest challenge. What's keeping you up at night? Who wants to talk about that, right? So what I start with is appreciating what is working really well in your business. What's exciting right now? Then they share. And then how could it be even better? So then we're inquiring, right? We're appreciating what is working, inquiring into what could be better. And very often, you don't have to ask people what the challenge is because they will self-confess. It could be better if I did this or this or this. And it comes out naturally in the conversation. But if you put a negative energy on that, tell me what's your greatest challenge, I literally see people's energy deflate. Right? No one wants to talk about what's keeping them up at night, right? They want to talk about what's working. And so we have a collaborative conversation. Then after they share, I will say, may I share a little back? Because, when I share what I do, because I think together we may be able to co-create. And I literally do this, co-create a better way for you to get where you want to go faster together. And no one ever says, no, I don't want to hear about what you're doing, because it's an invitation. It's an energy of reciprocity that you've created. And there is no pitch. It's literally you're having a chance to have a conversation and co-create. And when you take the word pitch or sales out of the terminology, most women open up like roses, right? Because they don't feel scared about having a conversation that's an invitation. Why would they?
I
So
love
appreciative
that.
sales kinetics.
I love that. This part about the appreciative, like you had mentioned, it pretty much will give them an awesome high vibe to be able to have the conversation of what's going on in the challenge, and then being able to co-create. So, because that's what coaching is, and that's what support is bringing a partnership. So it
Right.
sets it up for a really nice success. I love this. I love
Yeah.
this. Okay, cool. So appreciative sales kinetics.
Yes. So the kinetics part is about the energy of reciprocity, right? You share, I share, together we co-create, right?
Like that. I like that. Oh, so good. So for those of
Yeah.
you who are listening, especially our fellow coaches in the room, be very cognizant of this, because this might be a really great shift or pivot that you want to be able to think about incorporating in your discovery sessions and your communications and conversations with people. So good. Okay,
You're
what
welcome.
else?
And there's many more in my best-selling book. That's why it's called Words, Women, and Wisdom: The Modern Art of Confident Conversations. There's 8 chapters, 40 different words and word concepts to help women ask for what they want and get it. And sometimes
Nice.
it's a simple switch up, like women, they should on themselves all the time. I should do this, I should do that. And it's got this negative in energy of tolerating something, that you're doing it out of obligation for anybody, instead of choosing it. And then it's lightness, it's could, I might do that, maybe not, I'm not sure, I'm in choice. But it has a different energy. Words have energy. And when we start with our self-talk being in the right place, like I said, just a simple switch, should to could, right? There's many more in the book. It makes a difference to how we show up. It makes a difference with that energy of reciprocity. You mentioned about your daughter earlier on, right? So teenage kids in particular, they don't want to be told what to do. So as a coach, as a parent, right, if you invite a conversation and give them an opportunity to come up with their own best idea of how to do something, that works much better. And then in the energy of reciprocity, say for example, your teenage daughter doesn't want to clean up her room, right? So next time she comes to you, so they're creating an opening, an invitation, you're not creating it, it's going with the natural flow of things. They come and they say, oh, could you take me to the mall? Absolutely, I'd be happy to take you at about 4 o'clock. However, if you get your room cleaned up early, we could maybe leave at 3. When will you be ready? So it's an invitation for an energy swap. I'll do something for you. You got to do something for me, right? And I'm not telling her clean up your room, right? No finger pointing, because that doesn't work with teenagers.
No, it doesn't.
But it's incentive, right? It's adding something which is a bonus that they wanted anyway. But if I had stood there and said, okay, I'm leaving for the mall at 4 o'clock, clean your room up, how do you think it would have landed?
There would have been resistance, right? There would have been resistance. There would have been like, so what's really interesting about this approach is that you're talking to the unconscious mind with love, not judgment, right? That is so powerful. And that is actually game changing, not just in our conversations in business, but also you give us this example of life. I mean, how many other ways could these conversations go with other people and our loved ones? So cool.
Right. So think about, what is it that you want, excuse me, as the the entrepreneur or the leader of your household. Think about what it is you want, and then think about, okay, who do I need to engage with in order to make this happen? And what question can I wrap around it so that they think it was their brilliant idea and they come up with approaches that they are willing to do in a hurry to get this outcome? But you haven't told them what to do, because that just squashes people's creativity and it doesn't give them a chance to flourish. And that's what I'm all about, is flourish, right? So timing is everything, right? It's just with the example of going to the mall. When they approach you about something, they're creating the natural opening, the reason to have the conversation. However, as entrepreneurs, we can also use that concept. It's spring, it's Mother's Day, it's May Day, it's, there's stuff happening. We don't have to tell people it's spring, it's here in front of you. So how can you align with it? How can you tap into the flow versus trying to, work against a brick wall, right?
Yes, it's like going with the wind as compared to fighting against it. Well, and then the question that was coming up, I want to backtrack a little bit on, how do you know? What are some of the signs that you may have seen, heard, experienced, or several of your clients and have gone through that know that this is something that they need to be able to step into, this masterful change? Like, what are some signs of, like, the one that's coming to me is like probably resistance when they're having conversations with people, or what are some like common things that like let us know this is something that we probably want to start really paying attention to, our words? And that was a question. And the other question was, how does it happen like that, where there's just this part about like no choice, right?
Well, it's because it's an invitation, right? I don't need to, push, right? It's like, come on, you want to play? Come on, let's play, right? It's a different energy. When you take that word sales out and you put a line through that and you say service, because all a sales conversation is the very beginning part, the initial, here's what I have, here's what you need. Do we want to work together? Once you get past that, then you're into how am I going to serve you? When do you need this? How do you need it delivered, et cetera, whatever it might be, your product or service. So it's like a micro piece of the relationship you're going to build. Why would you get all stressed out about it? It's an invitation, right?
So
So
good.
part of
Yeah.
it is mindset. So, how do you know? Well, look at your results. I'm all about results, right? Are the results telling you that people are wanting to engage with you? And if you're asking them, what's keeping you up at night, and you see people, on Zoom, you see them back up, or you see the arms folded, right? It's a very different energy that they're portraying than if they're leaning in, or they're looking like they're curious, right? They're thinking about something. So this is where my work around personality types comes in as well, because the action person is going to respond differently to an invitation to play together or work together than someone who has a lot of knowledge required in their personality type. They want the details, the data, the science, the evidence, the proof. Like, show me evidence, prove it. Nothing you say is going to matter. I need the data. And then they need to think about it for, a day or so. The action or the nurturing person, which is my personality, they want to get on with things. They want to buy on emotion. They want to see the impact. They want to see how it's going to help them be famous, or to be working better with communities or teams, or building something that's lasting, a legacy. And then the blueprint personality wants a structure, systems, processes, step by step by step. And so how you have those conversations, if you know how the other person likes information delivered, give it to them in the fashion that they will be able to absorb it, because people are smart, they can make their own decisions. But if I'm talking in what's the equivalent of action language to a blueprint person, it's like I'm talking English, you're talking French, and we're not going to meet in the middle, right? So my work is all around how do we make these conversations easier so people can get what we call sales velocity, right? You get to agree to work together in 1 or 2 conversations, not 8 or 9 conversations. Like,
right.
If you're telling me that this is working really well and here's how it could be better, and I have a solution to offer you that would help you get where you want to go faster, why wouldn't we want to work together?
Yes. Oh, that's so great. So like, because the one of the other tips that you just mentioned was like knowing who you're talking to, right?
Yeah.
That part about personality and being able to match and help them deliver what you're, like, because I guess so you're talking 2 different languages, it doesn't work well. So being able
No.
to talk the language and being flexible in your communication enough to best communicate with them in the way they hear it best.
Yeah.
Did that make
Because
sense what I said?
yes, because if the personalities do not align, right, then there's only an 18% chance. Data from a study showed that 18% chance you're going to have a connection. If you talk their same language, because you know what their preferred language and communication style is, it goes to 88% success rate. So instead of leaving 3/4 of your deals on the table, you have a much higher success rate when you actually learn how to speak with the person who's sitting in front of you.
Oh my goodness. Such
And
good
it's,
information.
yeah, it's resonant. It's energy. It's not sleazy or slimy. It's like, here's the information in the way you want it. Here's the plan. Here's the technology. Here's the go go go. Who else is using it? Some famous influencer. Why you need to do this. How it's going to help you make more money right away. Whatever the action person needs versus somebody else, different personality style. And you're engaging in conversation. You're not talking at the person. You're talking
With
with
the
the
person.
person, right?
So good. It's funny, I was also thinking about how it's like the serving and selling process becomes more fun and
Oh yeah,
enjoyable as
yeah,
compared to like a lot of people are so worried about, oh my goodness, I don't know, but it's actually fun because that's the word. It's not selling, it's serving, it's being of service, and there's a synergy and there's a beauty in that
right.
of giving and receiving energy. Oh my God, that's so good. Okay. Any other one tip? Is there one other tip or nugget that comes to mind that you want to share about this topic?
Well, um, at the end of the day, it is about, are you looking at life with this lens of possibility? Are you looking at where can it flow? How can it flow? Or are you looking at it as something that, didn't work well last time, and therefore, you've got this bad experience? What if you could just shift something and say, what if, right? If I try it this way, right? Is the glass half empty or the glass is half full? Right? I just talked about this on my radio show a few minutes ago. If you're looking at the lens with the glass half full, you're in charge of the one thing that will make the biggest difference in your day, which is your perception, your mood, your attitude, right? So are you going to stay in a grumpy mood all day because one little thing ticked you off? Heck no, right?
No.
You can choose, no matter what your circumstances are, you can choose in that moment to be grateful, right? Do you have fresh air to breathe? Do you have a sunny day outside? Do you have food in the fridge, a little bit of money in your account, whatever it might be, right? You can choose that everything right in this very moment, everything I need is right here. And I'm choosing to stay in a positive vibe. And I'm choosing to look for where there's synergy, to look for the good stuff. Wherever you look, if you look out the window expecting to see a sunny day, guess what? You're going to see it.
Oh my goodness, that's so good. It's such a beautiful reminder because what we focus on expands. So we focus on that
Yep.
gratitude, that appreciation, that zeal for life, that possibilities, then it expands.
Right.
Even in the midst of probably chaos, for some of you who are on this or listening to this, you may be going through a lot of great turmoil in different areas of life. What is the thing that you can find the gratitude in, the beauty, the expansion, the possibilities, and just be in that present moment, like Yvonne is sharing with us. Oh my goodness, this is so good. So good. Okay, how can we continue this relationship? Do you have like a free gift that you can be able to offer us that
I
we can share
do.
out? Tell me, tell us, tell us.
Yes, yes. So if you go to my website, yvonnesilver.com, there's a couple of things. First of all, that personality coding that I was talking about, you can actually get your own free report. There's a little window that'll pop up with myself and the founder of that organization, Codebreaker, Sherry, talking about how to get your free report. Secondly, if you go to the free gift tab on my website, you can download chapter 8 of my book as a free gift. My gift to you. So it does include the intro, a little bit of history about women's revolutions and the suffragettes, etc. And then it has chapter 8, which is when no words are required. So how do you show up in a room in confidence? What's the best way to have that air of authority where you don't get challenged and asked to go get people coffee? No, I'm leading the meeting, right? So how do you show up in that energy just with your dress? How do you use the power of silence? How do you use pause? All of these types of things when no words are even required are in chapter 8, and you can download that for free.
Oh my goodness, this is so good. Thank you for these beautiful gifts. And we'll make sure we put those in the show notes. So make sure you go ahead and click on and get those for that free chapter, as well as those great personality assessments and stuff that Yvonne is offering. Thank you so much for that. We feel so special because
You're
we
welcome.
are.
Yeah. Well, it's all about the energy of reciprocity is, what I believe, right? So, your kind invitation to come on the show, of course I'm going to bring a gift for your listeners and your
Oh, thank you.
community. Yeah.
Yay! Well, and based on everything that you shared with us, what would be kind of like the biggest takeaway that you want to leave us with?
Well, when you are in a servant heart, you will be served. It's reciprocity energy, right? When you look at things with a positive lens, you will see things happening with a positive lens, right? So stay in the energy of reciprocity.
Goodness, I love that. Stay in the energy of reciprocity. Everyone who's listening, I want y'all to let this message marinate into your mind, body, and soul all weekend. We also want to hear your wisdom too. Let us know what was the biggest takeaway that you learned from our conversation today. Make sure to put that in the comments. And you also know that sharing is caring. So if you were inspired by this conversation, which we know that you were, go ahead and share this out with the rest of the world so someone else can have and receive the gift of confident negotiations, and that they can be able to step into their biggest and best version as well. Thank you so much for blessing us with your time and your wisdom today, Yvonne. This was just so amazing. We're so grateful for you.
Thank you, Dr. Heather. I appreciate the invitation.
My pleasure. All right, everyone, another Level Living Land. Look forward to seeing you next week and have an amazing rest of the day. Peace.